Welcome to the Jill on Money podcast. It is Tuesday, September 22nd, and as promised, we are bringing more of your voices on our air. Now, this is beneficial in two ways. One, you actually can prove to yourself that Mark exists. Two, I can talk to you in a way that I would normally talk to someone about their financial life instead of reading your messages and sort of guessing what the question is. So it's really worthwhile. And I so encourage you, if you're willing to do it and if you're feeling sheepish, don't worry, just change your name. It's okay. So today we have Ben from Connecticut. He is on the line. Hello, Ben. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Okay, Ben, tell me what's going on, how I can help you out.
So right now, my wife and I, we're both 36 years old. We're trying to figure out, are we saving enough? Are we saving too much for retirement? I know it's kind of funny to think they're saving too much, but we want to also be able to enjoy life now as well as in the future. And so right now, kind of the financial picture we're looking at right now is we're maxing out both of our Roth IRAs. We're both contributing to our employer 401ks, just enough to maximize the matching contribution we get back.
Okay, so is that about somewhere 4, 5, 6%? Is that what you're each doing?
Yeah, so my wife's doing 4%, I'm doing 5%.
How much do you guys each make?
I make just around $95,000 a year. She makes about $45,000 a year.
You're putting a lot of money away, which leads me to think that maybe you don't have children. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Any plans to have children?
No.
That's why you're going to live large. All right, keep going. So you're putting money away, which is great. So both maxing out the Roths, 401ks, 4 or 5% or so, which is great. What else are you doing?
And we also have an HSA account, so we're maxing out that contribution as well. We have enough to cover the annual deductible in the event something happens. Everything else is going into an investment account within the HSA.
All right. That's fantastic. Tell me anything else that I should know. Mortgage, house?
Oh, yeah. So we have a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. We got about 20 years left on that. That is at a rate of 3.25%. So there's a balance of about $165,000 left on that.
No other debt besides the mortgage, Ben?
Correct.
How are you feeling with this rate of savings? In other words, do you feel like you are precluded from enjoying yourself in the near term? Do you feel good or do you feel tight?
We feel okay. We're comfortable with it, but we just, our thing is, okay, are we doing enough? Should we be doing more? Or, there are definitely some things that we would like to do, but, we're very budget conscious as well. So we have everything categorized.
Love that about you. Poster children for financial planning. Have you ever looked at your own retirement projections? I know that it's, essentially 30 years in the future, but, something that would incorporate future Social Security, or are you entitled to any pension benefits, either of you?
I actually, through my current employer, we have a pension benefit as well. So
I would encourage you it sounds to me, I haven't run the numbers. I'm just doing this, off the top of my head. It sounds like you're doing a great job, frankly. You really are. Because if you kind of look at your totals, you're putting a ton of money away. The HSA really does help protect you, certainly in the longer term around some healthcare issues. You have a pension. There'll be some Social Security. So it sounds like you're saving at a very good clip. Look, I don't think you should be paying down your mortgage any faster. I think that, if you were to run your retirement calculations and you project it out and you saw, hey, you know what, we're good. We can retire when we're 65 years old. That's great. Then you might want to play a little bit with, if we have way more money than we need, what would happen if we retired a little bit sooner? Or what would happen if we put a little bit less money away? And you can start to see how those numbers really impact your future. I guess that the other aspect of this is you're sort of a self-proclaimed, a little bit nutty about your cash flow. Once you run these numbers, you might chill out a little bit about it. And I think that will be freedom for you. It doesn't mean you're going to do anything different, but I do think that it kind of gives you this opportunity to say, all right, things post-pandemic, we might be able to say, instead of feeling guilty about a vacation fund, we feel great about it. Like we've pack that into the budget. It looks great. So if you run those numbers, I think you'll be far happier and maybe more willing to be cut a little bit loose from that cash flow. It's hard. I get it. But I think you've got to give yourself permission. You're working really hard. You got to enjoy it.
All right, perfect. One last thing. Is there anything is there like a rule of thumb to say, okay, how much money should I expect to have on an annual basis when I retire? So how do I determine what that target is?
It's almost working backwards. You know how much money you spend now, right?
Right.
And so you can look at that. I'm going to just make it up. Let's say that you look at your cash flow. You've already done the hard work. So you examine your cash flow and you say, you know what? Forgetting about the saving for retirement, what we really spend money on, that is about $5,000 a month. Okay. And then what you're going to do when you look at the retirement calculations is you're going to put that into your future need. It's going to say, how much do you think you need when you retire? And you're going to say $5,000 a month. Maybe make it $6,000 a month because you want to have a lot of fun. And then you have the calculator determine whether the amount of money that you are saving and the accumulation of the funds you've already saved is sufficient to generate the money you need. The calculator will look ahead. It'll say, do you have a pension? You'll say, yes, here's the pension amount. You'll have Social Security. That will be the amount. And then there'll be an amount of money that you need, the gap between what you need and what's coming in. And then the question is, does all the money you save generate that amount of money? So, let's say you needed $30,000 a year extra. Okay.
Yep.
Beyond what's coming in. Well, then you might say to yourself, great. As long as I have $1 million saved, then that will be $30,000 a year. It's about right. If you had $1 million in your Roth, you'd say that million could generate $30,000 a year. If you have $1 million in a pre-tax 401k, you'll have some money in there, not as much, right?
Right.
Then you would say that it would be 30 to 35,000, but that would come in and be taxable to you. So you'd kind of have to lop off about a quarter to a third of that. So the combination of the two will help you determine how much you need to save. And the reality is, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you run the numbers because it does not sound like you spend a ton of money. It sounds like you save a ton of money. So I think that will be quite helpful for you. And as I said, it is really important for you to let yourself look at that cash flow and say, all right, here are the things we want to do. Run it as a want before a need. And then you can always fiddle with the numbers after.
Okay. That makes sense.
Excellent. Ben from Connecticut, go forth, multiply, and run your retirement numbers, okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
If you would like to join us live, just send us an email, ask Jill at jillonmoney.com. And, why don't you note hey, I'd like to come on the air with you, which we would love because it makes it so much more fun for us to hear your voice and to kind of dive in a little bit more. As always, we want to remind you to wash your hands, wear your masks, maintain your physical distancing, and try to lift somebody up today. It will make you feel better. Okay, we'll talk to you tomorrow.